Today, I will make 3 wishes for myself. These wishes will be for me, not for anyone else. I will dare to wish for that which I never thought possible for myself. I've been afraid in the past to think magically. There were too many times in my life where my dreams did not come true. I gave up wishing and turned my back on prayer and dreamed no more. I no longer fear thinking magically, for I have the power to make many of my own wishes come true. Day by day, I'm becoming accustomed to thinking about my own desires. As an adult, I can decide what I want for myself. This is coming from one of my favorite daily readers from my recovery program. And the title of it is I Can Be an Adult and Still Be Magical. I felt you needed this reminder today on top of everything else we're talking about in this episode. What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? It's your host, Tiffany Carter, and this is the show that is going to help you grow your business, your bank account, that big, beautiful brain of yours, your abundance, your relationships, and everything in between. This is part 3 of my golden 11 money rules that will make you rich series. So I've put in the show notes and in the description on YouTube parts 1 and 2 so you can easily binge. And these 11 rules are in no particular order. So it's okay if you're listening to this one first, my people who like doing everything in order, AKA my Virgos. I know. I love you. I am one. And for part 1, we covered 4 of the rules. It's episode 601. And then part 2 was rules 5 and 6. And that's episode 605. All right. We're going to cover rules 7, 8, and 9 today. I've been breaking them up because you don't need more information. You need to be able to implement the information. And these rules are far too important. It's really like my life's work when it comes to money and abundance. And it's too important for you to just like be blasted with these and not have time to integrate them. So that's why I've spread them out for you. If you are at a point where you're like, I need to take I need to really take accountability for where I'm at in my money life, in my career, and you know that you're the common denominator, there's clearly something blocking you, there's clearly something not working, you don't know what it is, you don't know how to figure it out, but you are willing to do the work because you no longer want to settle for less than what you desire anymore. Your money move for May, because I'm calling May, money moves May. You don't make a move, you ain't getting any more money, honey. Okay. It requires you to make moves. You have to co create with the universe. You can't just sit back and expect it to happen and wait for the right time and wait to have the idea and wait to figure it out and dream and hope and wish. This is not a profitable life plan in any area of your life. That would be like me sitting on my couch every single night, isolating, and then saying, but I want to meet the most amazing partner of my dreams. And where is he? And why isn't this here yet? And longing for it and writing out a list for it. It's like you've got to do some uncomfortable stuff and put some skin in the game and put yourself out there. So I would say your money move for May, if that's you, is to do my Make More Work Less money course. If you're watching on YouTube right now, I'm showing it. So what it is you are getting, there's 5 video modules, and then what comes with it is it's like a 70-page workbook that you follow along with it. It tells you when to watch the video, and there's a series of exercises in here. They're very fun. I have you even doing like exercise breaks. There's coloring pages. It's designed for you to actually want to do this. So you can binge this in 7 days or less. It's designed to transform your money story in that short of a period of time. This doesn't need to be, months and months and months long. But some people, stuff has come up because a lot of our money stuff and a lot of our blocks is coming from childhood stuff. And so some people needed to have a more gentle approach. And, they're doing 1 module a month, and there is no right or wrong way to do this. I would say the wrong thing would be to continue to do nothing and expecting for things to change. It's just not going to happen. I've decided to keep the flash sale going of $200 off this program so that you can make a money move in May. We are almost halfway through the year. You have a choice to make. You're going to either get out of your own damn way and take action, or you're going to end up in the same exact place you're in right now, if not worse, by the end of the summer, by the end of the year. And if you don't want that for yourself, then you've got to make a move. And I love you too much to not say this to you. Like, don't use the story of, I don't know where to start. I'm stuck. I don't know what to do next. Successful people make moves. The people who are the most successful in my programs are the people who do the uncomfortable thing, who invest the money, who invest the time, who invest the energy, who keep showing up regardless for themselves and for the greater good. And you have the ability within you to do it. Just no one can make you do it. And I have the path and I've paved it for you beautifully. It is all laid out. It's simple. It's fun. You want what's on the other side of this. And I invite you to make your move for May. So it's projectmewithtiffany.com/make more work less. Link is in the description here on YouTube. And it is also in the show notes when you swipe up on any of the other platforms. All right. So let's get into number 6 of my 11 money rules. Ooh, this one I had to learn the hard way, man. Just like most of these, which is why I said they're really important. Be highly selective who you share your dream goals and your ideas with. The more you share them, the less likely you will achieve them. Hmm. You want to know why? Because our brains are so tricky and cunning and manipulative that you can trick yourself into thinking you're taking action just because you're talking about it, just because you're brainstorming, just because you're picking someone's brain, just because you're having a great discussion. And then your dopamine, you get all high off it. It makes you feel really good. And maybe you make promises or commitments to one another, to a partner or to a friend. And I'm going to do this thing. And I see this happening when it's like New Year's, right? This is going to be my year, or on a significant date, like a birthday, right? I'm going to make this my most abundant year. And it feels all good in the moment. And then you talk, talk, talk. And then when it comes to taking actions, almost nothing happens. And I know some of you feel really called out right now. And that's a good thing. When I've been called out before, like stopped in my tracks, I might not have totally liked it, but I also was like, okay, thank you. I needed to hear that. That was really important for me to hear that in order for me to make some changes. And that's why I'm willing to say the hard things to you that like might irritate you at times, might piss you off, might rattle you. You need to be rattled. I need to be rattled sometimes too. And guess what? If it's not me rattling you, God, the universe is going to make sure you're rattled some way to get you going for your greatest good. So I would make the suggestion of stop talking about it. You're using a lot of energy talking about it, picking other people's brains, asking people questions. Get into action and do something about it. Like my grandma would always say, talk is cheap. And I love talking. I talk, talk, talk. I have people in my life who have been talking about doing something for years. How long, those of you guys who've been listening to the show a while, how long was I talking about doing like any form of a book or workbook or anything? I was talking about it for so long that I got so tired of myself. And I don't mind you sharing something publicly with your audience, or if you have a podcast, because that's going to make you be accountable and show up more. But you can't stay in that spot. Don't mistake talking about something, brainstorming, discussing. That's not an action. And you know it. You know, if you've been talking about something so long and I need to get in shape, I need to start doing this, I know I need to call the doctor, da 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 da. Just do the damn thing already, or let it go and admit this is not a priority right now for me. And that's okay. Be in acceptance of that. But please don't live in the middle. of talking and not doing, because then you create a shame cycle for yourself. Now you're getting stuck in feeling shame and guilt because you're talking about it, you've declared it, you've said the thing, and now you're not following through with your own promises to yourself, which then lowers your self-worth, which then lowers your vibration, which then repels abundance. And then it also creates mistrust with those around you. How seriously are the people in your life going to take if you're constantly saying, I'm going to start a business, I'm going to do this in my business, I'm going to do that with my body, this is my goal for here, and then you never do it? It's like, you're losing trust with people around you because your actions and words don't match. You're actually out of integrity with yourself. So instead, flip it. Let your actions speak for you. Talk is cheap. Number 7, the inner work is even more important than the outer work. Now, if I had heard this, even I would say when I started this second business of mine in mid 2018, if I had heard someone say this, I would have gone, yeah, there's truth to that. There's definitely truth to the fact that inner work's important. I knew that from all my therapy, my recovery programs. Okay. I'd go, yeah, I got it. But like, you've got to have all the strategy and you got to have all the things and I would be like, okay. So I would have gotten it, but I you can't get it really until you get it. So I'm careful with sharing this one because I know you listening to the show, you wouldn't be attracted to me if you didn't do some inner work or have gone through some shit where you were forced into doing inner work for your own sanity and to keep yourself alive. And it can be like, okay, I get it, Tiff, but I still need the strategy. I still need to know how exactly what to do. Well, of course, I teach you all of that. I show you all of that inside my ProjectME Posse business coaching membership. We even go into it inside my money course, inside working with me privately. Like, we do all that. But if you do not work on the inner money story and the shit you're telling yourself and manage it, you will sabotage every single thing, all of it, and myself included. This is why it is worth it for me to invest in having 3 coaches, one for my brain, one for my life, and one for my body, plus a therapist. So technically four people, one-on-one, regular line items in my business, because the cost of me not doing it, I end up doing lots of tricky things of subconscious self-sabotage. I end up hiding because I reach these visibility caps. I'm very visible. All these things happen. It feels good. And then I start feeling uncomfortable. I'm like, bad things are going to happen because of my childhood, because being too visible and shining too bright. You don't want to do that when you're raised by narcissists. You have to shine, but you better not shine too bright. And so then I have all that stuff come up. And then I have other stuff come up, like more is going to be required of me if I have an even bigger audience and I even bring in more abundance and I help more people. And I don't want more required of me because so much was required of me growing up. I didn't just get to like play and just be. I had to earn my way into playtime. And so much was required of me. Even though my parents were divorced, my dad, I say is, he's been dead a long time, but my dad is lovely. But even with my dad, he was like more like the codependent parent. I still had requirements when I was with him. I was always working. My dad barely spoke. So I was the entertainment. I had to engage him in conversation. Otherwise, I would have been so bored and miserable when I was there. My dad was like, I don't know. My dad had to be on the spectrum. He really had to be. I don't know what it was, but it was a lot of work to where I would like dread going there because it was like pulling teeth and I'd be exhausted. At least with a narcissist, like they're talking all the time. And it'd be such a drastic difference from one household to the next that like even my nervous system today, if I was experiencing it, it'd be wild. But as a kid, it was insane. And I have so many beliefs that came up as a result of that dysfunction, to think that just because I've done so much work that it just goes away. A lot of these things are just hardwired where we have to manage this stuff for the rest of our lives. And the cost of me not managing it is far too great. But you don't know that until you've taken your foot off the gas from it. So that's why I'm careful with this one, because you can think, well, this is a luxury. You're making all this money, Tiffany. That's why you can do that. That's why all these athletes and all these, you see all these people who are successful entrepreneurs and they have all of their coaches, and that's because they're a celebrity, or that's because they're rich, or that's because there's that. I had a version of this before I was at this level. I, for 8 years, had a private law of attraction coach. And then I had a life coach. She called herself something different because I don't think like coaching was as popular of a term yet, but she was really a life coach in person. She was more of like a spiritual life coach where she did cord cutting and all this interesting stuff. Shout out Deb and Tony. But it was like I had this, and I spent money that I could easily have said, God, that's a luxury. Like, I should be saving that money. I should be investing that money. You can, you could invest that money all you want. You could save it all you want, but you can only grow as far as you go in your internal work with yourself. You will reach an abundance cap, and you can have that happen very loudly for you where you're in so much pain and you're forced kind of into doing the inner work. Or at a certain point, you'll go, this needs to be a steady state. I need to realize that this is my life's work, is to continue growing. And this is something that directly correlates with my financial growth and my business growth, is my personal growth. And I'm in acceptance of that. And I'm going to continue nurturing and investing in it. And you'll see what happens. People who avoid this part end up burning out, end up being fried, end up getting sick. I could go on and on the cost factor, spiritually, mentally, physically, energetically, financially. So you've got to be investing in not just the strategy, but also the inner work. Number 8, stop putting people on a pedestal. When you do that, you're basically saying you're less than and you're less worthy. You can admire someone, right? I appreciate that you guys admire and respect me. And I think it's fun when you guys get excited when I like comment on your posts and stuff like that. Like, that delights me. I get excited when people who I listen to, who I admire, do that. That's fun. That's okay. That's not what I'm talking about. Putting on a pedestal is the ultimate form of comparisonitis, the ultimate form of imposter syndrome, right? Like, let's use Mel Robbins as an example, because I love me some Mel Robbins. Okay. And I definitely would aspire to have, granted, this show's top 5 worldwide in its category, but she's top 5, like, of all categories. Okay. Like, I would love to have like a level of a show like Call Her Daddy, like, not necessarily that genre, but that level of a show. And I'm in such admiration. And I think that's incredible. And like, kudos and respect and all the stuff, right? Putting on a pedestal would look like me going, let's use like this Alex Cooper of Call Her Daddy. Oh, she's obviously like this gorgeous, thin blonde. I don't have that look. She's so hooked up in Hollywood, and she got a hookup early on, and I don't have that hookup, and there's something magical and special about her that I don't have. That's like that's a long shot to be able to think I could get there. Like with Mel Robbins, it could be, well, she seems very book smart, and she has all of the support, and she's older than me, so she has more experience. I could start making up all sorts of stuff. That's what I mean by putting on a pedestal. Like, instead of you going, if they have achieved it, that's evidence that I can too. That's the abundant way to look at it. The scarcity way is, oh, someone else is already doing it, that spot's already taken, or they're more of this or less of this than me, and that's why they got it, basically rendering yourself incapable of having it, right? They have something you want that you can't have. No, that's not true. They have something you want that you can have. That's why it's there. That's why it's evident. Someone has to go first. Why can't it be you? Right? Like sometimes other people go first. I'm very thankful for the people who went first in terms of having online coaching businesses and podcasts when I was too fucking scared to start it. Right? I was too much in my self-doubt and me not being enough and me making up stories that I had to be this, that, or the other, more of this or less of this. Thank God all of these people went first. That then I was like, you know what? This is evidence that I can do it. And there are a lot of people that I couldn't resonate with, but all it took was one person who I could see some of myself in that person. And I went, okay, if she could do it, I can. I hope I'm that for you. I hope that you realize how unwell I am. And you can be unwell and rich. You can be crazy and abundant. You can be unfocused, have childhood trauma, have ADHD, have PTSD, have depression, not be even book smart, not be organized, and be successful. It's an and. You absolutely can. In fact, you're meant to if you're being drawn to doing the thing. So I need you to flip it when you're looking at people of this is evidence that of what's available for me here and that I can do it. Maybe you do it in a different way. That's where I found my sweet spot in the podcasting space and the coaching space. I was so disgusted with how much circle talk there was and how no one was really sharing how to do the thing, and it wasn't gritty and it wasn't messy and it wasn't edgy. And so I was like, this is too like squeaky clean over here. Like this, I get it and I appreciate the information, but I didn't emotionally connect because I like real, raw, straight talk, sense of humor. I like someone who throws some swears in there. I like mixing all the manifestation stuff with the practical money stuff. There, I didn't see what was out there. So instead of me going, oh, it's not out there because no one wants it, or it's not out, I can't do that thing. I can't fill that hole in the space because I don't look like Alex Cooper. I don't have this and that that Mel Robbins has, or whoever if I were to put someone on a pedestal. But why can't you be the person who goes first? I was willing to go first. I was willing to fill this hole of someone who just serves it straight. Your rich bestie. This is what's up. This is how you do it. This is why it's not working. This is your block. This is what we do. It's happening. Let's go. You are absolutely capable. You can give me a whole list of why you can't, and I will sit here and go, okay, and let's give equal balance. Here's all the reasons why you can't. You're the only reason why you can't is if you block yourself from doing it. And it takes just as much energy to list all the reasons why you can't. And wanting to do something is not enough. I need you to get to a spot of, I have to do this. This is something I have to do for myself, for my family, for the greater good, for my calling. And you might not know how, but you can't even use that as an excuse with me because I show you the how and I keep your ass accountable and in line. You have lots of options. All you have to do is go swipe up in the show notes. You can look in the description on YouTube. You can go on my link in bio on TikTok, on Instagram, and see the different ways to work with me. I will soon be sharing my in-person 2-day mastermind live event. I only do one live event a year under my brand. This sells out very fast. So you're going to want to make sure that you're on my Secret Posse Weekly Digest email list. Plus there's exclusive content and there's a reason my email open rate's 57%. You'll see why. Like the shit's good. And then you can go and get on that Secret Posse weekly digest list for free. That's also in the show notes as well and in the description on YouTube. You do not want to miss your shot at experiencing all of this in person. There's no better place to truly put your time, your energy, and your money because of how fast the transformation happens when you're around that energy in person. Because we know how fast it happens, right? Just through this podcast or through the live weekly trainings in the posse or through working for me in other various ways. Imagine how powerful that is in person. So no one needs to be on a pedestal, even if it's your own parents. I used to put my mom on a pedestal. And I didn't really want to talk much about mom since this is pretty fresh from yesterday. But if you saw my email, I shared what I was doing in reclaiming Mother's Day for myself. But I used to put her on a pedestal because that's what she taught me to do as a narcissist. That's what they want us to do with them because then they can control us and make us feel like shit and keep us in line. And she just constantly reminded me how much thinner she was than me and that she went to Harvard over and over and how much more energy. She always said more than me, more than me, more than me. And I put her on a pedestal and it definitely impacted even my grades really because the story was I'll never be that smart. I'll never be that. Well, if you keep saying something to yourself, it's true, right? I'll never be that smart. I never thought I'd be as successful as her. And she also fed that narrative. And so then I ended up with a money block where I wasn't getting past the point of earnings as what she earned in her company. There was this sticking point there, and it was so subconscious, but it was like such a belief that I couldn't out earn her. And what's even more crazy is I now make probably what she made in most years. I now make a month. I mean, obviously the times are different, right? But it's still all relative. I mean, I would say that would be fair to say, or at least in a couple months period, or even a quarter, I make what she made in a year. And this is how deep this stuff goes and why you have to do my money course, period, end of story, is that if I made and I had the quote unquote success that my mom had that everyone kissed her ass for growing up and why she got away with so much, blah, 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 blah. If I had that and I didn't have to work like she did for it, my mom worked 10 to 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, full on workaholic. And I made that and I didn't have to work that hard. It's kind of like a different level of grief would come up for me because that would mean that my mom didn't have to work this hard and that she worked that hard because she really didn't want to be around me. And like, there's many, many layers to it. And I make this working truly part time. I work and it's very intentional. It's what I teach you guys. Like, we make more and work less. We're very intentional and strategic with our time. And it just brings up a lot of stuff. But I had her on a pedestal for a long time. And I wanted to give that example, even though I know it's really fucking deep, because that's how deep it goes. And the deeper you go, the dollars will flow. You know what to do. If you are loving this 11 money rule series, please leave a written podcast review on Apple. That I would really appreciate that. That is the only platform I believe you can leave a written review. Comment certainly here on YouTube. I love when you guys comment along with the episodes. I try to reply to as many as possible, but I do read almost all of them. And on Spotify, you can tap the 5 stars. There's no place to do a written review, but tapping the 5 stars goes a long way. But those written reviews on Apple really mean a lot. Put your name or Instagram handle in the review. And because when I do shout out these reviews, I'd love to tag you. And if you don't want that, that's okay too. You don't need to put that in the review. But I just want to let you guys know how much we appreciate that here. And I know a lot of you want to be able to say thank you to how much this show has helped you in your life. And I read your emails and I see your DMs and they mean so much. And I would say, like, A way that you can express your gratitude back would be by sharing the show with as many people as will love it and writing a review. Wishing you great health, wealth, and worth as always. Love you.